Why hello there, fellow miners and excavators. Rodamon here. Thank you for tuning in to Timberborn 1.0. Episode 13, Blasting to the Bottom. So right now, the current project is at the top of my head is to build this eastern levee up. The idea eventually is to build a pathway up here and blast a path for fresh water to flow down this river through this waterfall. This is indeed a waterfall, as you can see. It's a tunnel. It's a cave. Fill this area here and then flow freely into an elevated water reservoir, aquifer, aqueduct thing we got going on. I mean, maybe we even turn into an aqueduct at some point, but basically flow into here. That is the current working goal. So what our beavers are doing at the moment is taking dirt from the dirt excavation and building up the eastern section here, building up access to the area, destroying the terrain blockers, and then eventually getting over to the double floodgates, which we do not in any way need these many floodgates. I don't know why I queued this up. We could definitely do with 2. So let's go ahead and don't build bajillion. That's fine. Let's keep it cheaper. Let's not go absurd. So that will work. We have a bad tide for another 9 days or so. And in the prolonged bad tide, we will obviously have access to a lot of bad water. So maybe what I'll do is I'll unpause one of these bad water pumps so that we have more of an income of bad water. And we want to get as much dirt and dynamite as we can. The dirt is primarily going to be used to build up this levee, and then also to build up the giant water storage that we have planned. And then the dynamite is going to be used to blast this path here, giving us access to fresh water on the eastern half of the map. And then eventually, once that's all done, likely we will want to build some simple floodgate locks here to retain water on the eastern half of the map, so that for the first 20 days of a long drought, there's irrigation here, irrigation here, irrigation here. The idea is that not only do we want drinking water for long, prolonged periods of time, but we also want water for our farms. And having water around the entire map just makes it prettier. You know, it's maybe an aesthetic goal, but, aesthetic goal all the same. I'm going to temporarily pause the dirt excavator. There's no space for the dirt to go at the moment. In lieu of employing more builders. So we have 8 builders and 5 haulers. And then once the dirt stockpile goes down, I'll put more people in the excavation role. Could I explain the pathing problem you use in the housing area? Pattern? There's no pattern. There's no pattern to these houses. I just threw them down. I intend in this run to build tall, not wide, meaning a few beavers that are highly advanced rather than a lot of beavers for dumb labor. So I'm keeping the population artificially small. I still will grow it, of course, as we ramp up additional industries, but the absolute efficiency of a perfect housing layout does not matter to me at all. So I haven't really bothered to try to make it perfect. I really don't like the sort of, personally speaking, I do not like the copy and paste type solutions that you'll often see people employ when trying to design systems, and I actively avoid it because I hate it. So this is in no way meta, and I don't care about meta. Don't give 2 craps about it. Nothing I'm doing here is meta, and for that reason, I'm not, there is no push for meta, and therefore no feedback about meta. So we are getting the triple floodgate built. We have the logs and planks in place, and then the dirt levees are coming together really quickly. So it really won't be long. I don't even need this dirt, do I? It won't really be long until we have a workable lock system for the east part of the map. still... Wait, where is all this dirt coming from? It must have been unhauled dirt. Yeah, from the dirty excavator. It was the internal storage was full. That makes sense. I was like, huh. My large pile has just as much dirt as it had a minute ago. Magic. But no, it wasn't magic. Alright, I'm going to prioritize the stairs here. And I'm going to prioritize the demolition of the blockages here so that I can start working on the floodgates here. And the beauty of this system, once it's done, is I'll be able to build floodgates in this spot, and they can be set in such a way that the height of the floodgates allow water to completely naturally refill this water supply without having to do like floodgate tinkering. It will like auto refill the max, and that will be really convenient, I think. All right, this floodgate is already done. I don't really, I guess I made a triple because I can make things higher if I want. I don't really need a triple in this spot. So let's actually double check that. So the current level of the water for the wall needs to clear this path here, which is like this height. Yeah, so I don't need it. I could have done a double here, but the advantage of the triple, however, is if I want to make the water supply higher, I'm able. Now, that's the only real thing it does. Full batteries? Yeah. As long as we have some wind power at night, the turbines easily fill up the batteries at night. So our the day-night cycle in our case is like really useful because it's offering us the ability to do whatever work we want without water wheels. Now, there's a lot to be said. I could have water wheels, you know, in the high velocity areas down here. I just don't, obviously. But that could be a project that we had in the future. However, for drought resistance reasons, I'd rather not have a system rely on water wheels eventually, because water wheels will fail to run during droughts. And I'd rather have wind, which is intermittent and unreliable in its nature, but when you average it out over the course of a long period of time with gravity batteries, it becomes far less of an issue for power generation. Okay, so we've cleared the blockages. At this point, what we'll need is a stairwell here, now that the blocks are cleared. And then eventually a floodgate here. So if you can picture a system where we have floodgates here, allowing water to flow this way, and once it hits a certain height, flow this way, allows us to auto top up anything in this vicinity, and then all the excess goes downstream. And that way our water supply fills up itself automatically and doesn't require much intervention from me, making it more idiot-proof. I'm not so stupid to think it's truly going to be idiot-proof, but more idiot-proof. And as the water levels in our water supply decrease, I can unpause some of the edge here, because the edge there can be blasted and removed. The other thing I want to do with the dynamite that I don't yet have extract, so I want to use my dynamite efficiently. And I think what I want to do, interestingly, is to average out... Let me hide the water. What hotkey is that? T? Before starting to blast everything here, I want everything to be the same level. So even though it's less efficient, it's going to be like easier for me to do, which is to say blasting this down and treating this level here as the default level for depth, and working my entire water supply to this depth, and then doing a whole layer of explosives to bring it down further. So first I want to level it off, and then deepen the whole thing in one swoop. Which means not those bombs. So these bombs should be built. in other words. And some of these aren't pathable. But they would be pathable if we could get down here. So that's another part of the project, is to like build a ramp to give us access to the bottom, which is honestly easier said than done. All right, so taking a look, there is... Oh, I see. Let's build a little road there. There we go. This section is totally done. This stuff is very close to being built. And then it's really just the dirt retaining wall needed to keep all of our beautiful water supply in. Now, the other thing I had mentioned is wanting a step well system where every 4 elevation levels for the depth of this water, we'll have a water pump, at least one large water pump, so that we can pump water no matter what the depth is. With that said, I don't know what the total depth will be. Obviously, this is going to go a lot lower. Right now, it's at depth... Actually, you know what? This might be depth 1? Can I even blast deeper than this? I can blast 1 deeper, so I think it can only get deeper by 1 unit. Because we're basically at the bottom of the map. This is the bottom of the map now, where the excavator has gone, and this is up 1 level. So this here can only go down 1 level. And that changes my plan, because I was gonna dynamite so everything averaged out. But now I know that I only have 1 deeper to go. So yeah, I'm gonna take a slightly different tact in that. For that plan. Alright, so we just need a little bit of dirt here. And then, yeah, it's looking pretty good. So I think what I'm going to start to do is to lay out the structure here. Because it's going to require a lot of, like, painting, if you will. And some of this stuff, like, these tiles are, like, too far from district center to be reached. So I'm going to also have to create temporary paths, which will be removed, just so that the work could be fulfilled. I like it. It will work. There's no path to the stairs beyond the river blockage. Oh, I see what you mean. Like right here. I don't think, without that, I don't think this was too far from district center. It wasn't. So it wouldn't have mattered. It doesn't. It's just a visual thing, if anything. There we go. As you can see, the beavers are starting to dirt fill, so this becomes more cube. And just to reinforce why I'm making it cube, evaporation happens for exposed... Well, I shouldn't even use the word exposed, because that's actually incorrect. Evaporation happens with surface area. So I'm trying to lower the surface area of this and increase the depth so that it is less affected by evaporation. For the ratio of what the surface area to the total volume is. And it's obviously the vertical face of the surface area. With that said, if I put dirt on top of it, it wouldn't matter. Underwater or underground irrigation doesn't change evaporation. Evaporation is a constant which cannot be changed other than putting things into small tanks. That is the exception, of course. If you put water into a tank, even though the tanks look like they are open, they will not evaporate. So water in tanks are evaporation safe, but open water is not. Pretty straightforward. I think, at least. Whoops, misclick. And then you can see this taking... Whoops. Also misclick. Taking form. Alright. And eventually it will just be a bunch of walls around the whole thing, containing our water. And that will really make us, like, drought-proof. Well, not drought-proof, but it will make us dehydration-proof. It doesn't drought-proof the system. It just dehydration-proofs the system. because we'll have water to drink. And then the big issue, of course, then becomes setting up irrigation so that we'll have water to farm, because drinkable water without without crops means starvation, which is still a loss condition. All right, looks like the gears are full, so I'm going to pause those. Dynamite is technically full right now. I think what I'm going to do in lieu of dynamite is just to add more storage for it. Because dynamite is something that I'm almost certainly going to use in, like, kind of high volumes, I'll be honest. Because there's a lot of projects requiring a lot of dynamite. So let's go ahead and get, like, a big old medium warehouse of dynamite. That's actually kind of a bad spot for it, though. Let me reconsider. I'll put it here. Because this is where power is. Like, this is a powered building, so I wouldn't want a warehouse there that wouldn't be powered. So at the moment, we maxed out our, like, total dynamite capacity. And, I think what I'm going to do... There's a few different ways to solve this. One way, which is relatively expensive and not the way I want to solve it, is because they can place things down, you could build like these expensive overhangs to overhang over this gap here. But the reason I want to do that is like, that's going to get very, very, very science expensive. So I'm going to solve the whole, like, we need to blast this area sort of the cheapest way I know how. You hope no one smokes around that? Yeah, me too. That would be bad. And maybe one way to do it, which is like a kind of a dirty way. It's not like I don't love it, but like just to be able to blast the bottom, create a stairwell here. And it's kind of expensive, I'll grant you. No, because this is sort of a temporary. I'm not going to go from that height. Let's just go from the easiest height. So maybe what I'll do is something like this. Let's change this project so that there's a dirt stair here as a temporary measure to gain access to the lowest level. And then we'll remove it. Something like that. That way I can lay out dynamite at the bottom, blasting it down to bedrock, and then work to excavate the remainder. I think that makes the most sense. So, let's prioritize this section of the project so that we can start blowing things up. Cheaper is better, yeah. So once everything is blasted all the way to bedrock, then I'll create some sort of path to go in here. Because we're going to need it to be walkable anyway, because the step wells, the water pumps, are going to need pathing. So, but once we get to that point, it will be a permanent solution. Whereas right now it's obviously not, because the elevation of that pool essentially is changing. All right. Another thing we had set up last stream, but I didn't follow through till just now, is changing the default trees here. So if we take a look at the cut zone, all the trees here are supposed to be oaks, because we kind of, we actually whittled down our supply of trees. Is this an oak? No, it's just not. So I am putting oaks back into this section, because we had more maples and pines than we reasonably needed. So ripping out the old trees, putting in the new trees. I might even go so far as to do this, because I have a lot of workforce, is just to actually actively rip up these trees, because we have a lot of ripe oaks, or whatever, mature oaks, and a lot of workers that could just do the work. So yeah, we'll destroy these trees rather than cut them down. I know it's a loss of wood, but it's not like wood is a... We're not bottlenecked on that at all. So it ain't an issue. All right, so power's looking good. The other thing I could consider, because I know there's a lot more need for research, but let's, now that I'm starting to really ramp up the dynamite stuff, let's also get a centrifuge in to start making extract. So this requires 60 planks, which we have, 40 gears, which we have, and 30 metal blocks, which we barely, but do have. And this is going to be the highest priority construction site. So centrifuges take bad water and, like, make it into something called extract. An extract can be used in your well-being here for the agora, wherever, there it is, for, like, social life fulfillment to make people happier. And then the extract also can be used for multi-level depth explosions. So for a 2 deep, you use 1 extract, 1 dynamite, and for 3 deep, you use 2 extract, 1 dynamite. And it's a way to, like, cheapen excavation. And then eventually, sometime down the line, we'll also get tunnels. Tunnels are really useful because then we'll be able to, like, create maybe underground irrigation or aquifer or, like, underground water supply, like plumbing type stuff. And that obviously requires extract as well. We don't have the science for that yet, but, like, eventually. So getting the centrifuge up and then starting to produce extract. And that's why we have a medium tank right here for the extract. Yeah. The loss of wood when it grows so much is, like, really not a problem exactly. I wasn't worried about that at all. Because I've got, I don't know, each oak is 8. And this is like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 13 by 5. So, yeah, calculator. 13 times 5 times 8. I have 520 wood in this patch alone. Roughly, like ballpark. And then obviously these are maturing as well. So it's like, yeah, I'm not worried about the lack of wood. It's not an issue for us at all. Okay, I think we're out of dirt. So let's get excavating. I should have noticed a little bit sooner, but then, oh well. And I'm going to pause the builder's hut initially so that we can keep getting haulers going. I was wondering why everything paused, and it's like, yeah, I forgot I need to dig the dirt. Check the cutting zone near the forester. It's, not cutting those oaks. I must have nuked it, huh? No wonder they mature. Alright, the cutting zone, just to double check, now looks correct. Thanks for noticing. Alright, 2 ramps left, and we are going to be... Oh, let's also, like, add a road there. I'll make it easier. 2 ramps left, and we'll be at the current bottom. And there's some sections that are not going to be easily dynamited. However, advantageously, they are next to the edge of the current bottom. And why that matters is we can always place dynamite from above later on. Because they're at the edge. So that's not an issue. Alright, everything looks good. It's going smooth, which is weird. It, like, worries me when things are this smooth. So the lock system for the east is totally done. And obviously we're not going to reroute water that way. The only hang up is this section now. The destruction of these trees, you know, actually might be the highest priority. Because we're not going to be able to use this system until we blast a 2 deep tunnel or a river there. But now that we're making extract, we will be able to do stuff like that. So extract requires 4 bad water and 1 log to make an extract, whereas explosives require 5 bad water. So they're, like, pretty similar in cost. However, you're gonna need an extract anyway for your agora. So, like, making it for 2 different things is totally reasonable. So now that we're at the, all right, let's turn off the water layer. So now that we're here, if I tried to do a double dynamite here, oh wait, it allows double? Wait, what's going on? All right, for an experiment, I'm gonna do a triple dynamite. I don't think that makes sense because there's not enough terrain below it to warrant a dynamite of that size, but I'm gonna build it out of pure curiosity of why the game is even allowing me to do this. Detonate. Okay, so it allowed me to put a 3 deep, and it blew up 1 deep hole. That's exactly what I thought was going to happen, because I was like, oh, what? All right, so, this is what's going on. The next blasting project is this. We're going to deepen this hole by 1. So that's a lot of dynamite. A lot of go boom. Luckily, it's like, obviously it could work underwater. That's not an issue. Oh, and this is all set too. So, let's see. What I want here is double depth dynamite here. Technically speaking. Oh, and could we not reach this? Yeah. Okay, before we do this, let's fix this issue. Technically speaking, we probably only need like a 1 wide, but I'm going to do 2 wide because like flex. But we need to get rid of that last tree at the end there before anything else. All right, 1 day left of this bad tide, and then we're back to business as usual. Come on, cut the tree. Destroy it. Oh, the other thing I could do is put builders back in rather than haulers. Oh, wait, where is my workforce? Oh, did I... Where's everyone working right now? I lost a few? Yeah, I guess a bunch died of old age. And like 5 are injured because they're working in dangerous industries. Alright, let's go ahead and furlough the metal scrapper. I'm gonna... one of the planks. We'll keep doing explosives, centrifuge, and badwater extraction. I still do need dirt. So this would be like cause to expand our population by a little bit. I'm gonna still wait. I don't think it's urgent that we don't need people, or beavers rather, that soon. But it's obviously something to be resolved. Okay. So what I wanted to do is double dynamite here first, so that it can build water locks in this spot. Just a double floodgate. And then once I have the double floodgates, I can blast the rest. So we're going to have like double dynamite here that I will not explode until the floodgate's in. Yeah, we just have an excessive amount of injuries. Which is why 2 of our buildings are unstaffed. It's fine. I'm going to reduce our water pumpers by 1. Reduce our lumberjacks by 1. And now, bad tide cycle is done. So what I want to is, yeah, let's lower this. Actually, I'm going to keep it at 1 so it splits left and south. Or rather, west and south. This is a 0.95. Cool. Bye-bye bad tide, exactly. Yeah, my population's below, my elder population, adults, are below 30. Just from all those new kids. I mean, some of that was just like, they died of old age. It's just, it happens. Alright, lower this to 0.95. Once the, I'll raise, well, actually, once the clean water flushes out all the bad tide here, I'll raise that back up, but obviously it's still mixed. There we go. We're starting to get some growing up, so I'll have more builders and haulers soon. I'd also like to get more people on research now that we have more reliable power source, but I'm not like jumping on that at the moment. It does seem like some of ours, and this is because we've just been like doing dirt excavation, and it's a dangerous job and it hurts people. So we have more people than we even have medical beds. So I'm just going to high priority stick in even more medical beds. It doesn't really solve the problem. obviously people are going to get, beavers are going to get injured, but at least it's a stopgap, so they recover quicker. Okay, this floodgate is in. Sweet. So, I would very much like to start getting water east. And I don't think there's necessarily going to be enough water to split west, south, and east to keep the wheels moving. So that will become an issue, but now that I'm far less reliant on wheels, I'm not too worried about it. Great Guardian, thank you for the resub. And Turtle too, I missed that. Alright, the hospital beds, medical beds. I have 4 builders. Oh, 7 builders, excuse me. There. Yeah, they get. Oh, yeah, there we go. Looks like I flushed the bad tide water. Yep. Alright, let's raise this up to 0.6, and this will be 0.255, and then it should start overflowing and irrigating this section, if my math is correct. There are different height gates, so I have to keep that in mind, but yeah, seems correct. So now we're starting to divert clean water to the West River, which means I'm going to change where my water workers are working from here to there. Now that there's clean water over there. And, I'm not yet going to get rid of this large tank, but, like, this large tank is not permanent. I know it's going to have to move. I just don't know exactly when. When I get back to the tank walls, these center ones aren't buildable. Oh, like these? Because they're too far from district center? Oh, or you mean these? I'm not, you'll have to specify exactly. These are buildable. I don't see anything unbuildable in this stack at the moment. They're all close enough to district center. It's just like a matter of like hauling dirt there, really, as far as I could tell. Oh, we are so close. I just need to finish building this one double dynamite, and then even with a one path river, we should start be able to fill the east. There we go. So now we can lower the level and freely divert some of the water eastward. And in order to get over this lip here, I could either blast it, which is pretty straightforward, so I'll probably just do that. The other thing is I could build locks to raise the level of the water here, but yeah, that's more effort than it's worth. So we'll just blast it. When in doubt, explode. All right, looking good. Looking good. Now this needs to fill back up as well. Maybe I'll wait until the next disaster, because I don't think it's urgent for us to divert the water at the moment. Yeah, and there's that lock. Yeah, when in doubt, blast it out. Yep, more or less. Alright, I'm going to pause the centrifuge because we have a lot of extract, we don't have a lot of bad water, and I'm going to unlock or rehire the bad water pumper. We have a whole lot of dirt, and at the moment, most of the work we're doing is like dynamite, not dirt, which is why I'm not too worried about getting excavation ramped up again, because, you know, there's other tasks. Following the beaver path, the wall tile where they turn. This tile? Or this tile? These are buildable. Don't worry about it, you'll see. If that's where you meant. If that's not where you meant, then maybe I'm wrong. Okay. Let there be water going east. Now, it looks like I might need to dam this up a little bit so there's a greater flow going east if I really want to fill up this, like, aquifer here. So, yeah, I think that that's going to be a requirement after all. Just looking at the way this goes. So, let's do something like this. I will do dirt, 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 dirt. And then to be able to actually walk there, let's rip out these trees so I can build a path. And all of this is highest priority. I don't know if they can reach here, but like I'll build the path so that they can. So we might go this clean cycle with having not done any research, but I don't have any like pending research project that I would consider urgent, so I'm not too worried about that. Alright, let's get this built. So the purpose of this is to increase the flow eastward. It is still working, mind you. It's still filling up. So it isn't that it isn't working. And then one of the things I can do is I can raise the height of this to up. Yeah. Raise the height up so that the water starts flowing into here. And it's obviously going to spill out. It's not perfect. But, yeah, that's more or less the concept. And it's working. It's working great. It's just low flow. Alright, once the dirt gets to like 50, I'll probably have to turn on the excavator again. It took a while for those, for for those beavers that got injured to recover. There's a lot of dangerous industries. Essentially, the dynamite or explosives is dangerous inherently. The centrifuge is dangerous. You know, there's just a bunch of... We're just doing a bunch of dangerous stuff, and it's hurting beavers. But they don't die, as long as they get medical attention, so... It's sort of one of these situations where it's like, yeah, it sucks for you guys, but like, that's life. Surviving in the apocalypse. And the bottom here is almost fully lined with dynamite. And the water level here is just about to fill up our water supply. With a drought coming. Got it. Are these... Yeah, these are pathable. Cool. So we can walk to everything here. It's pretty close to District Center, so the logistics of walking there wasn't that bad. So given that the drought's coming, I am going to need to fill up this water hole. Oh, jeez. Okay, yeah, I see the issue. I am going to need to raise the height of this level. See, what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow the water to flow naturally out. It is filling up. Actually, you know what? Forget that. It's technically filling up here. It's working, just like not the way I intended. I'm going to need to raise the level of all of this up one. I think I had already made that determination that that was going to be required, which is why I put the triple floodgate in when I measured it, and just like never got around to it because it was one of those situations where it's like, well, let's start small and then work our way up. But now I know I need to do the height immediately. So these here aren't pathable. But what I can do is... put dirt in these spots, and then walk along here to build them. And then everything here will be 3 high, except for right here, which I'll solve later. Thank you for tuning in to Timberborn 1.0, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rodamont.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rodamont.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow beavers.